Poker's legendary champions, next generation stars, and tireless ambassadors of the game, sharing their wisdom and guiding your journey to high achievement on the green felt. This is Tactical Tuesday on Chasing Poker Greatness with your hosts, Brad Wilson and Jon Chai.
Welcome, my friend, to another episode of the Chasing Poker Greatness podcast. As always, this is your host, the founder of ChasingPokerGreatness.com, Coach Brad Wilson, and I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Jon. Jon, how you doing, sir?
Doing pretty good. Got 4-bet pots episode cooked up for you today. How's oh wait, I guess I should have asked how you're doing before I went right into the hands.
Yeah, this was I'm doing terribly. This is the 1 week that I needed you to ask, and you just skipped past it.
No, I knew it.
Well, you already ruined your opportunity.
And your week has just gotten worse, I'm sure. So
now it's just exponentially worse. And it's raining outside. Oofda.
I'll try to do better next week.
What's on the agenda for this week's episode of Tactical Tuesday?
So we're doing 2 4-bet pots. Yeah, I mean, they're 4-bet pots, so unsurprisingly, all the money's going to go in. There'll be some big pots, and yeah, I mean, we can just run the hand here.
All right, so you have an ace and a 9 of clubs. I can see it on the button, so I'm guessing you're oh no, you're the 4-bet E, not the 4-bet
Yeah.
Cutoff opens 25. You 3-bet to 80. The blinds fold, and you get 4-bet to 200, which is a little bit of a small 4-bet from the cutoff.
Yeah, not 20 so
points.
small that I'm like, whoa, what's going on? Like, I think a 2.5x, out of position 4-bet isn't that crazy. That's probably like the bottom, the lowest size, the smallest size that I would expect to see. Wouldn't expect to see, or wouldn't be surprised to see something that's like the full 3x either, so like up to 240. But yeah, this is definitely slightly on the smaller size, probably like the smallest normal size that I see, and because it's smaller, definitely going to be peeling the ace-9 of clubs in position.
All right, so peel away. 4 bets pre-flop. There's 415 in the pot. Both of you have about $825 remaining. Flop is Jack, Jack, Deuce with 2 clubs, which, yes, if there was a question as to whether or not the money was going to go in before, that question is definitely resolved now that you have the nut flush draw.
It doesn't go in the way I expected it to, though.
Well, I'm guessing villain starts with a check. Oh, they go for the quarter.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, just C-bet range, quarter pot, and 4-bet pots as a pre-flop raiser. Nothing surprising here.
And you opt to raise the flop. They bet 103 into 415. You raise it 226. I guess we'll start with why the very small raise size.
Or like to raise at all, I think.
Or to raise it all.
Yeah. Like I think there's definitely an option of just like flatting here. You're getting like calling is certainly profitable. Getting a good price with an over and a flush draw. I thought that just like raising here just kind of simplifies the hand a little bit. Just raise, flop, jam, turn, or call a bet 3-bet with a nut flush draw. Both of those seem like pretty kind of clean, simple ways to play the hand.
And your sizing kind of sets itself up to where like they can't have a calling range.
Yeah.
If you went like 3x or 3.5x, then they're effectively a decision for their whole stack, and so the money goes in more frequently.
Yeah, I think it's nice to put like a hand like ace queen offsuit or king queen suited into kind of like like I want those hands to like sort of call this raise and then fold a lot on the turn. So for them to have like a folding range on the turn, I think the flop raise size needs to be on the smaller side for sure, where they have to float with like 2 overs.
Yeah, so that's the rationale behind the small raise size, so that they have a weaker turn range when you jam. Makes sense. I'm on board. The out of position villain of course, calls because they're getting 6-1. So I'm not exactly sure they have any hand that they don't call with. The turn that's a pretty interesting turn.
Yeah.
The deuce of diamonds, the old deuce of diamonds, Jack, Jack, deuce, deuce. Now the board is double paired, and you probably have a range that wants to check everything.
Yeah. That's exactly what I thought. I mean, like I thought my raising range on the flop, every single hand does okay by checking here. Like let's say I just had the value end of my raising range, which was Jack X. You know, just checking here, letting them bluff the river, or value betting the river with an SPR of less than 1 is easy peasy. It's a little scary to jam with the Jack Jack Deuce Deuce board with anything that's not a jack. So like I'm sure all my bluffs like this hand would prefer to check back and then jam versus river check.
Yeah. I do wonder. I'm guessing you're going to check behind.
Yeah.
I do wonder about like a very small bet on the turn. Might be too fancy. Like with ace high, if you bet, I don't think you ever get raised.
Just put like 120 here.
Yeah. Like I think jacks fold, never raise.
Uh-huh.
And you get to overrealize your equity.
Yeah.
Like on a 9 or an ace, for instance, you don't face a jam.
Right.
Or on the river, you just almost never face a jam.
Yeah.
If you make a tiny little bet here on the turn.
So tiny little bet here and then jam the river.
I don't know. It's on the river. Depends. I'm not exactly sure, but it was just a thought that sort of spontaneously came to me because I didn't review these hands beforehand. I think checking is like totally standard though.
So yeah, I check behind, planning on jamming versus check and folding versus jam.
And the river is the king of hearts, so your plan was to jam.
I think this king is also like, it's not like completely inconsequential. Like I think their cutoff 4-bet range that like snaps off my bluffs is a lot of it is going to be Jack X, and their 4-bet range preflop is going to be King Jack. So I think I should be pretty happy to see a king on the river because that reduces their snap call combos.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now they have ace jack, maybe some like ace jack off, maybe some, I don't know. That's like about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we go ahead, rip it, try to get folds from, stuff.
I think the king might be not so bad for you either because it does reduce some of your busted flush draws. King, queen of clubs, king, 10 of clubs.
But would I jam those on the river?
You wouldn't, but now that there's a king and when you do jam, you have less busted flush draws.
I see. I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it went through.
Did go through.
So
he tanked for a really long time, and I just remember thinking, like, I wonder, like, what you could tank down in the spot with, like, thinking about, like, heroing it with, like, tens.
Probably.
I don't know. I was just, anyways, that's just a side story, but I wasn't really sure what gets tanked down.
I think, like, ace high is somewhat reasonable.
Yeah.
Wow. Ace king.
I think this makes sense, too.
Yeah. Well, I guess removing the king, queen, and king, 10 of clubs wasn't really an issue. Since villain had the king of clubs. Wow. I'm pretty shocked that villain folded, but
I think they said to themselves, like, well, I have the king of clubs, and that's not good, so...
Well, if they would have thought about it, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It's almost a blank card. The suit of that one doesn't really matter. I don't know exactly what they thought. Like, I mean, who knows? Like, that maybe you're under bluffing, that you've got almost every jack in your range that could play this hand very similarly. I'm not exactly sure, but I don't think that they should fold.
Yeah.
I don't think so, but I guess they did, so that's good for you. They kind of rivered you though. You had a nice free roll going.
I know. I mean, this is like exactly what we were talking about on the flop, right? Like this is the hand that we kind of want to just like, this ace king 2 overs with a club. Like they're like, wow, I'm getting 6-1 on the flop. How can I fold? And then they just fold a lot to the turn jam. So yeah, I mean, kind of a weird turn card where that plan didn't materialize, but good to see that like their flop peeling range is really wide when I make it that small.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that they have like an ace or a king on the river to improve. You have all the clubs, and then they improve with a king and still manage to lose. It's got to be a pretty frustrating situation for the cutoff. I wonder if they fold on an ace, and like an ace is almost exactly the same as a king. But anyway,
what do you think about going by the flop? Would you raise a jack in position there? Like, do you think that's like actually credible? I don't think I would actually raise a jack in the spot.
I don't think it matters whether or not you would actually raise a jack. It matters whether or not the villain thinks that you would raise a jack. And I think like, I don't think it's like the craziest thing to raise a jack like very, very small.
Yeah. Especially if ace king's gonna call, right? Yeah.
Well, I think as we mentioned on the flop, I don't think any of their hands are gonna fold. On the flop. So, you create a situation where SPR is like under 1, where you have trips and you can let them put the last bet in, or you can put the last bet in yourself. It doesn't seem like that terrible of a raise on the flop with Jack X. Yeah. All right. So we have another 4-bet pot coming your way after the break. Spoiler alert, all the money is probably going to go in. So stick around.
Are you a lone wolf searching for the ultimate pack? The CPG Wolf program is a close-knit brotherhood hell-bent on one thing only: chasing poker greatness. Powered by bleeding-edge wolf strats and led by Coach Brad and his lieutenants, CPG Wolves are systematically prepared for almost any spot they'll encounter on the green felt. If you want to plug into an elite team and have a step-by-step game plan to realize your full poker potential, you can apply at cpgwolves.com. Space is limited, and the pack is only as strong as its weakest member. So only the hungriest, grittiest, and most driven will be accepted into the program. Applications are open at cpgwolves.com.
All right, welcome back from the break. Looks like we got hand number 2 queued up. Small blind. We have an 8 and a 10 of hearts, so I shudder to think of how all the money is going to go in. But John, you can start this story.
We're doing the 4-betting this time. 10-8 of hearts, 150 big blinds effective, small or blind versus blind. I'm in the small blind. I make it $30. The big blind 3 bets to 90. I make it 250. He calls.
Okay, so the pre-flop 4-bet, just blind versus blind, loose formation. You're quite deep.
I think I should have made it bigger pre. Probably. Like just make it the full 270 or something. Not sure why I went so small.
Well,
that is small, but whatever. Not the end of the world. It's not like
I like to think that you had your reasons, but I never know. I never know.
It's because I have a bad hand, probably. Aces would have got the full 270, I'm pretty sure. So, anyways, this is where really things just start going off the rails from the beginning. Ace 8-4 rainbow. I flop middle pair. I have 10-8 of hearts. There's no heart on the flop. I just decided on the flop to like just turn my hand into a bluff. Thinking about it now, I really, really don't like it. I think like the only hand that might not 4-bet pre that I could like get to fold with multiple barrels is like pocket 10s, which I block. I think like jacks, queens, kings likely just jam pre even at 150 bigs effective. Maybe there's some like weaker ace X I can like put some pressure on, like let's say like ace 5 suited that maybe folds by the river, or like I don't know, maybe even like ace 10 suited just struggles to put all the money in.
They have 9s. They have 9s too. And I would say
nines.
They have 7s, but you beat 7s.
Yeah.
So not really a
right.
not really a great victory folding out sevens when you're already ahead. So you start out by betting. Looks to be about a third.
Yeah, we're a little deeper, so would probably go a quarter most of the time, but because I 4-bet smaller and we're deeper, just start out with a third.
How badly did you want them to fold the flop to your third? Like, come on, please.
I don't know. Like at this point, I was like on the flop. I'm like, there's still 2 streets left. We could hit an 8. We can make a 10. There's lots of good things that can happen. Like nobody ever folds to this size, anyway. So I wasn't expecting much here.
So the sacrificial 1/3 here on the flop.
Yep.
Turn is
the toll to get to the turn.
There's 828 in the pot. SPR is like 1.3, 1.4. You have 1100 behind. The board now is ace 8, 4, 6, full rainbow, and you have a 10 and an 8. And so since you had your plan, I'm guessing your plan involves betting the turn.
Yep. Bet the turn small.
I think you probably could have gone like a quarter again.
Yeah, gone even smaller. Just put like 200.
Yeah. Yeah, 272 into like 828. It's going to set up about an 850 jam on the river into 1300, which is like 60% pot or so.
But I really wanted him to fold 9s on the turn.
Yeah, the villain calls, which at this point has to be a little concerning.
Yeah, I guess we're just targeting ace 5 now on the river.
Oh, boy.
Oh, my God.
And you got bailed out, maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows?
You had proven you're still not even sure if, like...
Yeah, the river's a 10, and don't know whether or not you got bailed out, but it's definitely a better situation than it was on the turn. So now your plan is to get value from all the hands that your old plan was meant to fold out.
No, I mean, there's some hands that my old plan wouldn't have folded out. Like, I don't know. If he somehow doesn't 4-bet ace king, that's obviously not folding. Aces, I think, is a really reasonable hand. That's just never going to fold. Ace queen, even, that probably calls. So, I think there's enough. Maybe I'm just way too optimistic.
So they probably are not folding ace queen. Probably not folding ace king. So we have ace jack and ace 5 that you think they might fold.
Yeah.
And maybe like the ace deuce, ace 3s of the world that they 3-bet then call the 4-bet blind versus blind.
Yeah.
Maybe even like ace 9 suited.
Yeah. Unfortunately, ace 4 is 2 pairs. So.
Yeah. We have to. Can't talk about ace 4.
Yeah.
So you rip and you get called by ace queen.
Yeah. So the original plan looked like it wouldn't have worked. I think he called fairly quickly too. He wasn't seriously considered folding. So
yeah. They weren't buying it.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say.
Should we just go back to the flop and like, I mean, I feel like I rarely do this where like on the flop I just I have some pair or something and I'm like, I still just want to start bluffing right now. Sounds like you're not a fan.
I don't know. I have no idea. This is like... I don't... Like, how many 3-street value hands are you going to have here? Ace 4?
Yeah. Ace 4, aces. Ace king?
that didn't sound very
convincing. Hey, he snapped with ace queen.
Yeah. Ace 4, 8s. If you 4-bet 8s, which you don't have, most likely. Aces, if you do decide to go bet jam, I'm skeptical of bet jam if you have aces, just because you block a lot of the hands they can call down with. So
I 4-bet ace 8 suited a lot.
Yeah. So I got the ace 8 too. That's 2 extra combos. Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea about this plan. It probably hinges on like how often they're 5-bet ripping ace king, blind versus blind, which is probably fairly often.
I think they do.
Yeah. So they don't have ace king. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it depends on like, do they fold ace 5 suited? to
Yeah.
bet jam.
Yeah.
I don't know if they do or not.
Right.
Blind versus blind in a 4-bet pot because you're repping so few hands. So like I guess it kind of hinges on if they fold ace X or not, and
Yeah.
I don't really know the answer to that.
Right. Yeah.
And
I'm glad we didn't have to find out the hard way this hand.
well, we did find out that they didn't fold ace queen,
Yeah.
so I guess that's one data point that is against you. Is ace queen like relatively a lot better than ace 5? I guess is a question.
It's kind of no different, right? Because I'm not really jamming anything in between.
Yeah, I don't think you're jamming ace jack.
Right.
So like relatively speaking, if they call with ace queen, they might be calling with ace 5, and if they're calling with ace 5, then
Oh, thank God the river was a 10 then. That's all
Yeah.
I can say.
that's the thing about bluffing with a pair. It can turn into 2 pair.
Yeah.
It can turn into trips,
Yeah.
and that's good. So yeah, those are my thoughts in this this hand number 2. I don't really know. I do wonder what your opponent thought when they called and saw your 8-10.
It was-
Or flabbergasted.
Probably got the fish tag after this one.
Yeah. Reload. I guess I'm gonna be stuck at this table
Yeah.
for the next 6 hours.
At least I'm on his left.
Money's still in play.
Yeah.
All right. Well, nice hands. I don't know. Don't know exactly.
If you'd like
What
to
to-
see
what to
some
follow.
more really well played hands like this, tune in next week. See you next week.
See you next week.
Thanks for listening to Chasing Poker Greatness. You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts or on your favorite podcast app. Go to chasingpokergreatness.com to get the newsletter. Join the Greatness Village community, book a coaching session, or dive into the latest data-driven poker courses. Follow the show on Twitter at CPG Podcast.